So that is what you're charged with. That is what we're all charged with. We have the responsibility to say, not in the name of God, whenever we see bad things happening in our communities. Until we see you again, thank you so very much, and you have a good evening.
Good night. We can't forget about the Red Cross.
And the Red Cross.
And mercy ships.
Okay, well, you know, they're all other than, we're talking about what we are doing.
Yes.
You know, out of our desire to make a difference. So
yes.
we know, we acknowledge all those other people
yes.
who are doing.
Yes.
But we are doing some wonderful things on the continent, and we need people to know it. We need people to support it.
Yes.
We care about these children. And so we're going to, in our next segment, talk about that.
Solutions.
Solutions. Our segment today is going to end with this premise in mind. It isn't what you say you are, or who you say you are, that makes you who you are. It is what you do. It is the love that you express. It is the closeness you bring amongst people you come in contact with. It is how you express your love of God to others. That's what makes you who you are. You know, I always remember my father always told me, you don't have the right to die till you made a difference and never ever live anywhere unknown. That should be the challenge of each one of us. Do not leave this earth without having made a difference. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to say to yourself, from now and as long as you have breath, never again, not in the name of God. And so it is. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Good night.
Means long, and that is what I hope and pray for you today. I am Dr. Owa.
I'm Dr. Sophia.
I would like to welcome you to Not in the Name of God, sponsored by Chiism, Godianism International. Godianism and Chiism are synonymous. The purpose of Godianism is to represent, or rather, Godianism represents an umbrella under which all of us can worship God without bitterness and without hatred. We understand in our organization, in our spirituality,
yes.
in African spirituality, that God is the parent of all. And as far as God is concerned, we are one. And we need to learn how to relate to each other under those terms, that we are one. Last episode, or last segment rather, we dealt with the difficulties, and I suppose it's probably putting it mildly when I say the difficulties, the tragedy that's faced by African children who have been unfortunately labeled as witches by religious, overzealous, if you will, religious leaders of certain churches, who use the excuse that the child is responsible for the plight, for the problems experienced not only in the community, but in the family. And because they are witches. And so all sorts of atrocities are committed against children. Today we are going to talk about, on this segment, we're going to talk about what do we do? I mean, we've talked about all the problems, that, you know, what do we do? I just want to start with what I think is one thing we're not doing.
Right.
We are not respecting God. We're not respecting God. How are we not doing that? Unfortunately, religion as it's known today has become a means of money making. Okay, now we understand there are some religions that are doing the right things. But at the same time, there are religions that are not doing the right thing.
Right.
There are religions that are using the excuse of God worship to commit atrocities. And it becomes our responsibility to say, not anymore. Not in the name of God. And if we respect God, then we have to respect all of God's children. That's what we're not doing. We see God from our own myopic perspective. And when we do that, we have a tendency to dismiss others' perceptions of what God is. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as we were talking earlier in between the segments, we have been told a lot of things about God and who God is and where God is and what we have to do to be close to God and all of those types of things.